In this video, we're going to be installing a cold air intake from Neuspeed on a 2019 Volkswagen Tiguan. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and for those of you that are following us for our Tiguan content, this video is for you. Today we're going to be installing a cold air intake from Neuspeed on the Tiguan project that's owned by our buddy Jeff. Let's start with why you would install this on your Tiguan. Well, the number one and primary reason is sound. You get a little bit more of that performance-based sound when you install a cold air intake on these engines. Since it's a turbo-based engine, you're not going to get that much performance out of it. It will sound a hell of a lot cooler, but it's generally been proven on these MQB platform engines that the horsepower gains and torque gains are pretty small when it comes to air intakes. So if you're looking for some great sounds coming out of your engine while you're driving around, this would be the mod for you. And it dresses up the engine a little bit as well. There are a few good cold air intake options for the Tiguan out there that help dress up the engine a little bit as well as make the car sound better. So you might be wondering how we chose this Neuspeed one. Well, simply put, we have some good friends over at B2B Fab. If you're not familiar with B2B Fab, they do some fabrication on a lot of lift parts. They also have a full web store for specific and great brands such as Neuspeed, and they hooked us up with a little bit of a discount when placing this order, as well as some other parts that you'll see in future videos. Installing this Neuspeed intake on your Tiguan is pretty easy and straightforward. It's really just a matter of taking out the stock airbox and putting this one in. On a scale of how difficult it is, I would give it a 2 or 3 out of 10. Most of you would be able to tackle this no problem with little issues and without much risk of harming or damaging your vehicle. So let's jump into this install right now. Alright, to get started with this install of the Neuspeed Cold Air Intake, first you're going to disconnect your mass airflow sensor harness. To do this, pull up on the little gray tab and then squeeze it together and pull back. Next, we're going to move this hose clamp back and out of the way using a set of pliers, or alternatively, if you have a set of hose clamp pliers, that would work even better. Move it back so that way you're going to be able to disconnect this hose from your air intake box. Next, go ahead and remove your secondary air intake hose by squeezing together on the sides and pulling back to remove it. Next, disconnect the small rubber hose by gently pulling it back. Make sure not to tear this. So now, without disconnecting anything else, you'll be able to remove the entire airbox. There are 3 rubber grommets that it fits into in a pressure fit sort of way down below underneath. So you're going to want to get your hands as low as possible on this airbox and pull straight up. You'll be able to feel as each one of these grommets releases itself from the airbox, and then eventually you'll be able to pull it all the way out. Here we're going to remove the mass airflow sensor housing that's connected to the airbox because you're going to reuse this with the Neuspeed cold air intake. Remove the screws that hold it in place, and then you'll be able to kind of twist it out. Now we're going to take that mass airflow sensor housing and reconnect it from where we just took it off. Once you have this housing back connected to the intake hose, go ahead and put the hose clamp back in place where it originally was. And while you're here, go ahead and reconnect the mass airflow sensor harness. Now let's move over to the workbench and get started on setting up the new Neuspeed intake tray. First, you're going to put this little mounting bracket in place that's going to hold your new secondary air intake filter. Once that bracket is installed, go ahead and install your secondary air intake filter onto that and tighten up the hose clamp that it came with. Next, we're going to be installing the cone filter mounting point onto the tray using 2 machine screws that were provided. Thread both of these through and then snug them up to get ready to mount your cone filter. Now what we're doing here is rearranging where the secondary air intake filter hose is positioned within the engine bay. So it was to the left of the air box. Now we're going to move it so it is coming right between the new tray and your battery. Once you have that in the right position, go ahead and drop in your Neuspeed tray by pushing it into each of the grommets that held in the original air box. And once you have that in place, go ahead and connect your secondary air intake hose. Now using the provided silicone housing, you're going to connect your new Neuspeed tray to your mass airflow sensor housing. To hold this in place, you're going to use the 2 hose clamps that are provided in the Neuspeed kit. Go ahead and tighten those up. You're going to need to put the second hose clamp on before you connect the mass airflow sensor housing to this adapter. Otherwise, you won't be able to get it on. Next, take the small silicone hose you removed from the side of the air box, and you're going to connect it to the small port that is on the underside of the cone filter mounting point. Now we're almost to the end. Here's where you take the cone filter and install it onto the cone filter mounting point. Use the provided hose clamp to hold it in place and position it however you like it best aesthetically. So that wraps up this install of the Neuspeed Cold Air Intake. Hopefully you guys liked the way it sounded. As you could tell in the video, Jeff is really enjoying this so far on his Tiguan, and is just having a lot of fun with it in daily driving and in more sporty situations as well. Overall, the fitment of this piece was excellent. There were no issues, and the instructions were very clear and straightforward, and the install overall was very easy. The sound difference from the stock air inbox versus this is pretty significant, although with the hood closed and when you're driving in the cabin, it's not that crazy and doesn't necessarily get annoying. Again, I mentioned Jeff really enjoys this modification so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a lot of other great videos coming out for this Tiguan project. Very soon we're going to be installing a Tiggy pipe from B2B Fab, as well as a Neuspeed power module, which will help us make this Tiguan just a little bit faster. So those videos will be coming out soon. Stay tuned for those, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and go down in the comments below. Let us know what you think, and let us know what else you want to see. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.